The facts say that this is the least safe, least secure, and least honest election that we have ever seen in Georgia. Here are the facts that every Georgia voter needs to know. A U.S. District Court found on October 11, 2020, that the Dominion voting system used in the November 2020 election is unverifiable to the voter and in violation of 2 Georgia statutes. There are 6 sworn affidavits of counterfeit mail-in ballots in the Fulton County election results that scale into the tens of thousands of votes. The State Farm Arena video shows at least 4 violations of Georgia election law. Approximately 43,000 DeKalb County drop-box ballots have no chain of custody forms. TrueVote's geo-tracking research showed evidence of ballot harvesting teams driving repeatedly to drop boxes in Fulton and DeKalb counties. All 350,000 plus original in-person ballot images in Fulton are missing in violation of federal and state retention laws. All 393,000 plus original ballot images in Cobb are missing in violation of federal and state retention law. At least 17,720 certified in-person recount votes have no ballot images at all in Fulton County. 18,325 voters had vacant residential addresses, according to the United States Post Office. All are parts of nearly 2 million original ballot images from over 70 Georgia counties are missing. The failure to make a mandatory check of ballot envelope signatures to the signatures on the voter registration file resulted in a 90% drop in the absentee ballot rejection rate, allowing an extra 4,400 dubious ballots to be counted. A U.S. District Court found Secretary of State's office, quote, not credible, unquote, in an August 16, 2019 order. Those are the facts that Brad Raffensperger and the local news media don't want you to know. I'm Garland Favorito. Join us at voterga.org, where you can volunteer or donate to help restore election integrity in Georgia. I'm Garland Favorito, co-founder of VoterGA. Do you know anything about VoterGA?
Not much.
Voters organizing together for election, election something.
VoterGA.org.
Okay.
All volunteers.
Are you with the Voter Georgia? I've seen you online. I've seen you. I recognize.
Thank you to VoterGA for what you guys are doing, fighting for us in the state of Georgia.
We know that you're the man.
Voters organized for trusted election results in Georgia.
VoterGA, I love their organization. It's nonpartisan. It's a big tent for everyone. The more people that join, the more we take our state back.
Well, we know that you were honest too,
Yes.
and courageous. And these are the 2 elements in society
that people don't understand are not only cool, but essential. And you are a hero in my eyes, and we will support you, and your movement will grow because it's good.
I took the initiative. I went online, I joined, I volunteered for the ballot inspection team in Fulton County, and I said, this is out of my wheelhouse, but I got to do something. I'll go down to Fulton County. You know, I'll cross those lines. I'll do whatever it takes. But I've stayed with Voter GA. I know they're working hard. I consider myself a faithful donor because I believe in what he does, and I don't think there are too many people left in Georgia who can do what Garland Favorito does and what Voter GA does. And this is nonpartisan. It doesn't matter what candidate it is. It's our state and our country that's being destroyed.
You can see all of these things. I mean, you love it when you see it and you're like, aha, you know, hand in the cookie jar. There it is on the screen. They did it. Look, they stole it. But what happens? Who's going to do something?
Well, the first step in what we're doing is to file a demand letter against the state election board saying that we're going to sue them if they don't change their rules to make it conform to federal and state law, because federal and state law requires all election records to be held for 2 years. And the destruction, to your point, violates the law. So we're going to start with state election board, and then we may have to go after the counties individually. I can tell you that the big law is the big law, and Voter GA proved it.
I'm not quitting.
Neither am I.
Good.
Voters organized for trusted election results in Georgia. I think that's kind of the key word, wouldn't you say?
Sure. Trust. We need to have the truth with trust.
Well, and the other thing is you need transparency. So transparency and trust will give you the truth. Would you say that?
That's right.
Help us restore election integrity in the state of Georgia by going to voterga.org and volunteering or donating today.
Vote again. I just can't wait till we all vote again. With pen and paper, voter ID in our hands. I can't wait till we all vote again. Let's all vote again. Those mail-in ballots should have never been. And all the dead votes coming in at 3 a.m. I can't wait till we all vote again. Let's all vote again. Like a band of patriots, we will count the right way. We're the best of fans, resisting lies and fighting for truth our way. And God's way. Let's all vote again.
That's deep.
I just can't wait till we all vote again. With pen and paper, voter ID in our hand. I can't wait till we all vote again. God bless America.
Wow. So you heard it here first. Vote early and vote often from Uncle Sam.
I'm Tamara Favorito, and I'd like to welcome you to Voter GA's press conference. Today, Garland Favorito will present the petitioner's complaint to the U.S. Election Assistance Commission. Then we'll play the video of a hacking demonstration that actually happened in court last year using an authenticated Georgia County election management server. And then we'll hear from Dr. Kendra Bogalski. She's the current chair of the DeKalb GOP, which initially sued the Georgia Secretary of State and led to the discovery of all the evidence that you're going to hear about today. After that, I'll come back up and give you some information about Voter GA, and then we'll take questions. We'll start with in-person media, live stream media, legislators, elected officials, and then in-person audience, and finally, live stream audience. Now, we're live streaming from several platforms today, but I'll be monitoring the chat on Voter GA's Rumble channel. So if you are watching online and you have a question, please go to our Rumble channel and put your question in the chat. Then I'll close us out with the latest on Tina Peters, and we'll pray for her. So it's my pleasure today to introduce our speakers. Garland Favorito is co-founder of Voter GA, a career information technology professional with experience in programming, data administration, business systems analysis, internet systems design, and systems development methodology. And he capped off his career with 13 years of cybersecurity experience. He has more than 20 years of experience in voting system technology research and election integrity. Dr. Kendra Bogalski, the current chair of DeKalb GOP, has a PhD and a professional engineering license in nuclear engineering. She has experience working in government settings, conducting academic research and teaching, and Kendra has provided highly technical and specialized training as well as knowledge building presentations to experts and laypersons in both local and international audiences. Due to her work and volunteer efforts in DeKalb County polling places, as well as her involvement with election integrity groups, she's well-versed in Georgia elections, the election laws, procedures, and voter roll databases, and we are happy to have her join Voter GA today. And now I'll turn it over to Garland.
All right, thank you, Tamara. So as Tamara here is said today, we are here to announce our petition to vacate the Dominion certification. This is of national significance. In Georgia, we use the Dominion Democracy Suite 5.5A system, and we are very pleased to join with the DeKalb GOP in this effort, and we're looking forward to hearing from Dr. Kendra Bogalski in just a minute or two. So first of all, I want to get into this a little bit more about what is the EAC, the Election Assistance Commission. The Election Assistance Commission was formed in 2002, and its mission, as you see on the screen, is that, first of all, it's an independent, bipartisan commission. It's a federal commission, and its mission is to help election officials improve the administration of elections and help Americans participate in the voting process. Now, this mission was established in 2002, and you notice that there is nothing about security in this mission statement. So my first question would be, is it time to update the EAC's mission statement, given in that the last 20 years plus have been focused on the issues of cybersecurity in electronic voting systems? This was before electronic voting systems were installed as widely as they are today. As we mentioned and Tamara mentioned that we have this petition to vacate the Dominion Democracy Suite 5.5A certification. We are asking the commissioner specifically to vacate the 2019 certification in its entirety by November the 20th of this year. We filed this complaint on October 24th, I believe, originally, and we have made an amendment that Dr. Bogowski will mention to you in a little bit. We're asking the executive director specifically to vacate that certification, and in the interim, we're asking that until they can get that done, to amend the original effective date, put it out to 2027, until they can get that certification vacated. Well, why do we want to do that? I'm going to explain that, but first of all, I want to explain what this is not. That is what this petition is, but what it is not. It's not seeking to decertify the system. It is seeking to vacate the original certification because the original certification was never valid. This was not properly certified for years, 6 years, and then subject to decertification. No, we have to go back and vacate or revoke the original certification. This is not directly related to President Trump's March 25 executive order 14248, and it's not related to the EAC rescinding the certification of the unverifiable QR-coded vote tabulation systems, which obviously needs to be done, and which we support the President's order 100% wholeheartedly, but this is a separate initiative based on the security issues of the tabulators, the servers, and the scanners. So why do we need to vacate this certification? The Dominion Democracy Suite 5.5a system was supposedly certified in 2019, but we're going to show you today, based on expert witness testimony in the DeKalb case, that it did not meet the 2005 EAC certification standards, the security standards, when it was certified in 2019. So understand that they're certifying based on 14-year-old standards in 2019. And the reason that it does not meet the standards is it lacks encryption key protection and it lacks adequate password security based on the unrefuted expert witness testimony that we're going to be talking about, as well as forensic reports. So this lawsuit, and Dr. Bogowski can go in deeper in this if she chooses to, but this lawsuit occurred back in, the hearing was conducted in September 30th of 2024. The original applicant was Marcy McCarthy, the current chair at that time of DeKalb GOP. The experts who we're going to be talking about who testify in this case are Ben Cotton, he's a highly credentialed cyber forensics expert, as well as Clay Parikh, also a credentialed cybersecurity voting system tester. He has tested 7 separate voting systems, and he holds a top secret clearance in the United States government. The attorneys in this case were, you may be familiar with some of them, Attorney Kurt Olson out of Washington, D.C., Harry McDougall, legendary attorney here in Atlanta, and then Todd Harding, our own attorney who has helped us so much in a lot of the local issues here that VoterGA has been involved in regards to elections. So how did this case start? Well, we were proud to be a small part of it. We conducted back in 2021 open records requests for digital ballot images after the ballot images were made public record through legislation that we helped get passed and advocated for because we are all about transparency. We cannot have secretly conducted elections with secret proprietary software on secretly preserved ballots. So we did the open records request. We got all the images back. Actually, we found out that 1.7 million images of the original 2020 election were missing, but the ones we did get back happened to include 4 election databases, along with the images from 4 different counties, and we put that on a secure private server for analysis. So the evidence was started from that point in time, and in addition, another county had their election results completely failed. The Dominion Democracy Suite 5.5 system just simply failed to count their results correctly. It missed 40 ballots on the original count and 185 on the second count. And the county board chose to have a professional forensic firm make an image copy of that election server for analysis. And that copy was placed on a private server that they had arranged through the forensic firm, and the key was given to an attorney who provided it to, again, a cyber expert for evaluation. So based on these two things, this is the evidence that was collected for the DeKalb GOP case. And what the experts testified to back in September 30th of 2024 is that this system, the certification of this system in 2019 was simply illegitimate. And the reason is, and check this out, that the certification in 2019 was based on the voluntary voting system guidelines of 2005, which is what the EAC certified to at that time. And that was based on what we call Federal Information Processing Standards. FIPS 142 for encryption keys is a 1994 standard, and it's also based on FIPS 112 standards, which is a 1985 standard for password security. So I want you to get that picture very clearly. The 2019 certification of the Dominion Democracy Suite 5.5 system was based on 2005 standards, which was based on 1994 standards, which was also based on 1985 standards. That was 40 years ago. Standards that this system, based on expert witness testimony, did not meet. It did not meet standards, 40-year-old standards. So why is that true? And so the experts said that the Dominion system encryption keys are exposed in clear, plain text. What does that mean? Well, the encryption keys are the keys to the castle. And what that means is a bad actor can retrieve the keys with a simple SQL read statement. That's called structured query language. They would use a select statement into the database, and then they can easily, once they get the encryption keys, they can easily decrypt the results, change them, and encrypt them back and put them back. You're going to see that live here in just a few minutes. We're going to play the actual hacking demonstration that Clay Parikh did in the Fulton County Superior Court with an authenticated copy of the Georgia election server. So let me just briefly mention a couple of things about these FIPS standards, because not many people know much about it. I did not know a lot before I began researching, but FIPS 142 talks about encryption standards. This is a 1994 standard. It says, plain text, secret, and private keys shall not be accessible from outside the cryptographic module to unauthorized operators. That's just common sense, isn't it? Secret keys, private keys, and CSPs shall be protected within the cryptographic module from unauthorized disclosure, modification, and substitution. Very, very common sense standards dating all the way back to 1994. But in addition, the system has unsecure password design, according to the experts. They said that passwords are not irreversibly hashed, so therefore they can be decrypted. That is why the encryption keys are so important. The passwords, normally in most systems, a password is hashed. And what we mean by that is it's irreversible. The password is coded up and it's put into a database, and there's no way to reverse it. Once it goes into the database, it can only be changed with the appropriate authorization. So even the computer programmers can't read that back if it's correctly hashed. But if it's encrypted, it can be decrypted, and then you can have the passwords. And this is a security problem that I think Mr. Parikh testified to, and possibly Mr. Cotton as well. In addition, the administration password, one of them, is hard-coded when delivered, according to their testimony, and the password, we know, has not been changed since the system was delivered in 2019. It's the original admin hard-coded password, and now everyone seems to know this because you can go out and buy, the apparel of your choice with the Dominion password and located on your chest, depending upon what shirt you may or may not want to buy. Not a very good situation to be in. But in addition, FIPS 112 standards for passwords, and again, I'm going back to 1985 for this, the password shall have a minimum lifetime of a year, 1 year. We know that this change, the password was never changed since 2019. So that is a pretty clear violation of a 1985 standard in 2025, 40 years later. FIPS 112 also says that all passwords that may be included in a new system when it's delivered, transferred, or installed shall be immediately changed by the security officer. That did not happen in Georgia, and we don't think it's happened in any other states as well. But we're trying to focus mostly on Georgia today, at least for the time being. The hard-coded passwords was a known deficiency dating back all the way to DDS4, the Dominion Democracy Suite 4 system, and this is a Wiley test report where it says it identified, you can see at the bottom, hard-coded passwords and hard-coded crypto keys were identified in the test report as a deficiency. Now, why is all this so important? I think it's pretty obvious that it's important, but there's been more forensic analysis that have uncovered more and more things. And I'm going to refer you to the Mesa County Report Number 2. It's on Tina Peters' website, tinapeters.us. We're going to close in a prayer today for her. But the EMS database, the ports, the firewall, SQL Server Manager Studio are all set up to be accessed remotely. Now, when you do these components, there's a switch you can flip and say, do you want to have remote access to this component or not? And if it's not, you flip it not so you have more security. If you want it, because you need the flexibility, then you turn the switch on for remote configuration. Well, in this analysis that was reported by Mr. Gould up in Colorado, and the same was also found by Mr. Cotton, Ben Cotton here, but the EMS database is set up to be remotely accessed. The ports use the default ports. The firewall has no rules to protect from outside access, and the SQL Server Management Studio is also set up to be accessed remotely. Now, the SQL Server Manager Studio is a real significant subject in its own right, because that is, as near as we can tell, an uncertified piece of software that is on the election management servers that these experts have seen. And it allows the Dominion software to be bypassed, and you can manipulate the database using the tool without the Dominion software, and then you can do that to easily flip votes. We're going to show you how that was done here in just a couple of minutes. But we also have learned that all the Dominion Democracy Suite voting systems, based on their testimony, can communicate with each other via a X.509 certificate with a common shared value. Now, an X.509 certificate is just a way that systems communicate with one another. That's not a big deal, but they all had the common shared value. The way that these systems were set up was with a common shared value in the certificate. So that's the equivalent of giving everybody the same password. That's basically what it was. So anyone on a Dominion system anywhere in the world can access any other system based on their testimony. So this presents a serious problem in that you can have wireless communications and right into the county servers regardless of what transpired to get the information there. Like in Georgia, we have the election preparation server at the state level. However, we found out that that had actually been exposed to the internet for anyone in the world to hack back in 2017. However, even if that did not exist, the counties are now accessible remotely, which we believe would be a security problem for voting systems. We know from Discovery and the Dominion versus Patrick Byrne case, some Discovery emails were released by Sheriff Darleaf because of potential criminality, and that was up in the Michigan area. So we know that the servers are now were set up, maintained, and accessed by Serbian programmers during the 2020 election and apparently also during 2021 U.S. Senate runoff here in Georgia. So the vulnerabilities allow for this remote access to occur, and that is essentially what you have heard is called a backdoor. I would call this a backdoor into the system, which is largely undetected or undetectable by the means that we currently have in place. So expert witness Ben Cotton conducted a forensic study on this authenticated copy of the 2020 Georgia County election server, and it showed internet activity, sure enough. But the things that were most compelling about his forensic analysis is that he found that over 3,000 EMS server program files were secretly modified after its installation. Now, EMS being the election management server, that's the county server, that would have invalidated any certification. It certainly would not be de minimis changes that they can make to get around the recertification efforts. That's just appalling and amazing, but he also found a compiler that was on the server. Now, a compiler allows you to put program instructions, English program instructions, into the system. It generates machine code, and you can then move that out anywhere you want to all the other components. It's completely uncertified. There's no reason why a compiler would be on a voting system at all, and a server or any other component. And that was just absolutely astounding. When I first heard that, I could not believe it. So those are some of the forensic things that we wanted to tell you about, some of the expert witness testimony. Those are what's justifying our petition. And I want to just simply play for you what happened in court. Again, thanks to the DeKalb GOP case, I'm going to show you just a 3-minute demonstration and where Clay Parikh actually hacked this system with 6 lines of code in 3 minutes and changed the election results. So this is going to demonstrate to you that why these vulnerabilities are so important. And the important thing to understand here is this is not DEF CON in Nevada. This is the Fulton County Superior Court, an expert witness in Fulton County, performing this test and this demonstration on an authenticated copy of a 2020 Georgia election server. There's no dispute about any of this. So that said, I'm going to play this little 3-minute demo, then I'm going to ask Dr. Bogalski to come up and share her thoughts with you.
What we're going to do, we're going to go down here, we're going to go to the stored procedures, which is where the majority of the work. But what you see is, and I did not open the other folder. This is just the stored procedures that are ran in the database for the application to work, a ton of them. But we're going to go to contest report results. We're going to execute the procedure. Now, what I'm going to do here, I'm putting in a variable because the application would do this. In order to make it execute, it would send this automatically. And so what we're doing is we're putting in the variable so we can run it. And as you see here, you see that Donald J. Trump got 6,526, Joe Biden got 1,779. Now, when you skip it, because don't have that great a memory, we're gonna cover this up. So we got it frozen. And we're gonna downsize that. Now I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna modify the actual stored procedure with just a few lines of code. So we're gonna scroll down toward the bottom, all the way to the bottom, right before it goes, and I'll show you when we get to it. I'm gonna pause right there. Notice, print 4 is add totals finished. So we're gonna submit this right before all the totals are calculated. And so what we're gonna do, I'm gonna put a hard return in there, that's hitting enter. And then I've already got the instructions so to make this quicker and expedite. And so I'm copying these instructions and pasting them in there. And we're gonna pause this right here. Notice that choice ID number 2 is getting 1,000 votes taken away, and choice ID number 1 is gonna get 1,000. So I'm gonna execute it. So now it's functionally stored, and then I'm going to go over here. We see how the totals are. Now we're going to execute this again, and we see that the totals have changed. And right here we're comparing them. So from the screenshot, so you can see that they've changed. This can be done on any race.
So what you just saw there, I'll just recap it for you because it's pretty amazing. He took a stored procedure, which is code that executes on the database. He changed that, put it back out, executed it, and flipped the results of the election that simply. And as he said at the end, it can be done on any race. Any race you could do that on. So what about other states? And I'm sorry, let me stop there. I want to bring Dr. Bogalski up. Almost forgot. So Kendra, we want to first of all thank you and the DeKalb GOP, because y'all have been the driving force behind this case. And I feel bad that we were not, but y'all have done it. So thank you for being here, and we want you to make whatever comments you feel like are appropriate. So.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me, Garland and Tamara. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Dr. Kendra Bogalski. I'm chair of the DeKalb County Republican Party. I hold a PhD and professional engineering license in nuclear engineering. I've also worked the polls here in Georgia. I've been a poll observer, and I've been involved in various election integrity activities. But I speak today as a representative of the lead plaintiff in the dismissed DeKalb Republican Party versus Raffensperger case and co-petitioner in our current emergency administrative petition to the U.S. Election Assistance Commission. So on October 24th, 2025, just recently, our legal counsel filed on our behalf a 347-page petition under the Administrative Procedure Act to vacate the certification of the Dominion Voting Systems Democracy Suite 5.5A. I want you all to realize and understand that this system has been used in every Georgia election since 2019. Our co-petitioners are Voter GA, Garland Favorito, Rick Armstrong, Dr. Earl Martin, the DeKalb County Republican Party, and recently joining us in our amended petition and letter to the Election Assistance Commission is Mr. Oles. Our petition, as Garland mentioned, is supported by expert declarations from Clay Parikh, who you've seen and heard. He's an EAC accredited lab tester, as well as Ben Cotton. He's a forensic cybersecurity professional. Their testimony was given under oath, and it's been documented, these specific material flaws in the Dominion Voting Systems Democracy Suite 5.5a. So just to recap, those flaws include encryption keys being stored in plain text and retrievable by simple SQL queries. We have administrative passwords hard-coded. They're encrypted but not hashed, which allows decryption to happen. There is remote access enabled through the uncertified SQL Server Studio with documented intrusions in both Coffee and Gwinnett counties in 2020 and 2021. Forensic evidence also shows modified files, uncertified compilers, deleted logs, and internet connectivity, all violations of the Election Assistance Commission's 2005 Voluntary Voting System Guidelines, as well as the Federal Information Processing Standards 140-2. Those standards are issued by our National Institutes of Standards and Technology. Dr. Alex Halderman, who you may have heard of before in regards to these machines, he's an expert from MIT, he concluded, quote, "These flaws cannot be resolved through testing. No audit can detect malware-based fraud," end quote. The Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, or CISA, issued a June 2022 advisory on these vulnerabilities, but no mitigation efforts have been applied in Georgia. So why are we submitting this petition to the Elections Assistance Commission? In the DeKalb Republican Party versus Raffensperger case of August 30th, 2024, we sought mandamus to bar use of uncertifiable machines in our elections. The trial court ruled on October 4th, 2024, that OCGA 21-300A requires only initial certification at purchase and not ongoing compliance. We appealed, and in June 2025, the Georgia Supreme Court eliminated associational standing in Republican National Committee versus Eternal Vigilance, which caused our case to be dismissed in September 2025 on procedural standing grounds. I would like to emphasize that none of the technical evidence brought forth in the original case was ever disputed. Under 11 CFR 200.2, the Elections Assistance Commission must reconsider certification when new material evidence shows a system fails to meet standards. Our filing meets this threshold. Therefore, we request vacatur of the 2019 certification of Democracy Suite 5.5a. We request interim relief to prevent the use of Democracy Suite 5.5a in the 2026 election cycle, beginning March 2026. We request full, independent reexamination of all vendors by the EAC, free from all vendor influence. We also recommend the following actions to be taken by the state of Georgia. Decommission all Dominion 5.5a systems by November 20th, 2025. Amend OCGA 21-2-300 to require perpetual certification with regular forensic audits by independent experts and bans on remote access. Transition to hand-marked, hand-counted paper ballots for all voters by November 2026. The estimated cost is under $47 million. It's actually less than continued patching or purchasing of new systems. If the state legislature is truly committed to securing our elections, they will also establish a state election cybersecurity office with independent authority and, most importantly, audit past election results using the original physical ballots. In conclusion, the public deserves absolute confidence that election technology meets federal standards, not just at purchase, but in practice. When systems fail certification, when advisories are ignored, and when courts close procedural doors, administrative relief is the remaining path. The DeKalb Republican Party stands ready to provide testimony, data, and support to the Elections Assistance Commission, the State Election Board, the Secretary of State, and the General Assembly. We will monitor this petition and advocate for reforms until Georgia's elections are secure, verifiable, trustworthy, and beyond legal challenge. Thank you.
Awesome, Kendra. Thank you, Kendra. I just want to mention a couple points. You know, Dr. Haldeman also said that the system cannot be retrofitted for proper security in his security analysis. Dr. Haldeman was graduated from Princeton, and he was in the original hack that was performed before Congress in 2006. He then went on to lead University of Michigan's studies there. So the other thing I want to point out is that what would you have done if you were the Secretary of State and all this happened? Well, if you'd have gotten that testimony, I would have thought the first thing I would have done as the Secretary of State was to do something about it. He's done nothing. He's done absolutely nothing. So what about other states? Other states have different versions of the Dominion Democracy Suite system, 5 systems, 5.11, 17, so on, 5.5b. And they could vary by county. And the experts testified that the same problems they believe exist in other states based on the forensics that they have conducted. So for these reasons, other petitioners in other states could conceivably use our petition as a model for their state or their county. Also, limited forensics show that other vendors have this problem as well. So the question would be, that I would ask is, do other vendors like ES&S have these same problems, and why are we not analyzing them as well? You have to understand that the vendors do not want any forensics on any of their systems, and you can see why. But what would happen if ES&S had been subject to the same scrutiny that Dominion has been subject to? Would we simply have the same thing? One of the problems is that vendors pay for their own equipment certifications. That's kind of crazy, isn't it? So this is why we're having these problems. We're having these what appear to be false certifications, is because the vendors are paying for their certification. Certification, if it's a federal certification, the federal government's going to have to pay for that. To have unbiased, we've got to get the biasness out of the certifications. And finally, the EAC really needs to reassess its complete certification process. So how would elections be conducted without a Dominion Democracy 5 system or any other system? Well, once the certification is vacated, and as Dr. Bogalski and Tamara have said, we are seeking to vacate the certification, not decertify, but do away with it altogether. It never existed because it was never done properly. What would we do? We could simply use hand-marked paper ballots to establish auditability and detect duplicates, just like an SAT test. You know, all of y'all have done SAT tests, scholastic aptitude tests in high school and college and so on. So why don't voting machines work the same way? You could employ publicly recorded hand counts at the precincts. using fresh teams of volunteer citizens, students, and paid staff to perform the counting. And then, most importantly, we can ensure copies of all these ballots and electronic election records are freely available to the public immediately upon certification for results verification and election challenges. We have to stop counting secret elections with secret proprietary software using secretly preserved ballots. This is an insanity that must end, and it must end before the 2026 elections. So that said, I'm going to stop just for a minute. I want Tamara's going to come up and tell you a little bit about our current initiatives, just to explain, because this costs money, and we are a volunteer organization. Just want to talk just quickly for just a minute about that, and then I'm going to ask Dr. Biegalski to come back with me, and we'll have a Q&A session that will, I think, be moderated by Cheryl Selloway.
For you that may not be familiar, wow.
Yeah,
Going
that's
on
good.
with that.
You're good.
May not be familiar with Voter GA. We are a 501c3 nonpartisan nonprofit, and all donations are tax deductible. Both Garland and I are volunteers. Voter GA has no employees, so we're able to keep the overhead low. Most of our funds, I don't know, I guess
going.
that was me.
Keep going.
So one of the primary things we do is litigation. We have 5 active lawsuits against the state or the counties related to 2022 elections. Probably one of the most infamous cases that you might be familiar with is our lawsuit against Fulton County to inspect the 2020 absentee ballots. This case is over 4 years old, has gone all the way to the Georgia Supreme Court, where we won a landmark decision on voters having standing, and still we have not seen the ballots. Fulton County's shenanigans to hide the ballots has cost us lots of time and lots of money. And now we're adding this EAC petition. This was not a planned expense, but it is so important for voters in Georgia and voters throughout America that we wanted to be a major part of it. Technically, this is not litigation, but we are using attorneys, so the cost is mounting up. I'm real happy to say that we're able to keep our legal costs relatively low because Garland does so much of the work preparing statements of facts for the legal briefs, but still, it's litigation, so it's expensive. Other things we do is educate voters, legislators, poll workers, poll watchers, and we hold press conferences like this on various election-related topics. Also, we provide free expert testimony, that would be Garland, on high-profile national cases such as John Eastman and Jeffrey Clark's disbarment trials. I wish we could say lawfare was going away, but I think it's here to stay. And of course, we'll continue to advocate for getting rid of the machines and other election integrity laws with the Georgia General Assembly, as well as continuing to work with the State Election Board. And our efforts so far have produced, as I just mentioned, a Georgia Supreme Court decision on standing, over a dozen new Georgia election integrity laws since 2020, and 2 new State Election Board reconciliation rules. And now we intend to lead the fight nationally in support of President Trump's election executive order and any future orders that he issues, because we do believe that that's our best hope for resolving America's election security crisis in 2026, which is so important. So, we have designed our limited Make Elections Great Again apparel for gifts, for donations. These items are only available here. Remember, Christmas is coming, so this is an opportunity to donate to Voter GA and get your Christmas shopping done at the same time. The website to receive this apparel for donations is live now at voterga.org on the Donate tab, so please visit us there. And now we'll go to questions.
All right, I'm going to ask Dr. Bogalski to come back up. I want to thank our live audience at Lindell TV for carrying this live. We've got about 15 more minutes, I think, before the show is over. So I'll start. We don't have media present, I don't think. If there's nothing in the chat, we'll start with questions in the room. If there's anybody have a question, just wait for Cheryl to get the mic to you, and we'll feel free to ask anything about the material that we have covered today. And Cheryl is going to try to get the mic over to our first questioner.
I have two questions. First of all, is the EAC obligated to honor those FIP standards?
They're obligated to honor the FIP standards because they put those in the voluntary voting system guidelines. We'll have to go all the way back. But the voluntary voting system guidelines references those FIP standards. So the EAC is obligated, we believe, to honor the standards. The question is, what are they going to do now that we have presented evidence that they don't meet the standards? Now, they have had this knowledge ever since September 30th of 2024 when the DeKalb GOP had their experts testify. So the question is, what will they do now? You got a second?
I read that a major difference between the 2020 and 2024 national election was that in 2024, those Serbian computers were shut off, those servers. It may not be that simple. What are your thoughts?
Well, we have heard that, and we suspect that that might be true, but we haven't seen the evidence completely yet. But I believe that we will be seeing that evidence in the next month or so. We do have heard now that the Serbian office has been shut down in the last week or so, where the programmers have resided. We've also heard that, and again, I haven't been able to verify this yet, but that the part owner of that building was the former DNI director, John Brennan. But again, that's we haven't verified this yet, but that's what we are hearing. So I think there was Janelle had a question here.
Okay, you mentioned the bad actors. If they do not vacate, can we have a huge campaign and hire the good actors with that same password and fix the issues that we are having every year?
Janelle always has the perfect solution for every problem. Yeah, it's a great question. And I think the question is, why would they not fix this? Why would the Secretary of State not have fixed it if you know, Dr. Bogalski and all of the folks at the DeKalb GOP went through the trouble of making that evidence? Why wouldn't he have fixed it? Why won't the EAC fix it? The question, we're asking them to fix this by November 30th, gives everybody 6 months to put a new system in. From May, it's very easy to go backwards from an election system back to hand-marked paper ballots and publicly recorded hand counts. We went all the way to this unverifiable, complicated system in 2002, 6 months flat. So we could easily go back. So if they get this done, you know, prior to Thanksgiving, the states have enough time, or whatever states need to go back and fix their systems, they can have enough time to implement something different that could meet certification. So I'm not sure if that quite addressed your question, but I think it was a little bit rhetorical. Kevin.
With the recent merger of Dominion, I think they got bought by somebody. Are they trying to
Liberty.
claim that it's cleaned up, or do they just don't care to address this?
Liberty Vote, it's very,
Sounds good.
yeah, it
Right.
sounds great, and, you know, he's made a great statement, but we don't know. I mean, the question, I had the opportunity to ask the chair of the EAC recently was, okay, what are you going to do about the certification of the Dominion systems? And I got no answer. So it's an open question, and it's the key, one of the key questions that we need to be asking. Any other questions before we wrap?
I have a couple over here.
Okay, good.
So someone is asking, how can the machine actually follow VVSG 2.0 and be certified? I think they can't, as long as they have this right.
Well, this is a great question because, so there is only one system that right now that is a VVSG 2.0 compliant system, and that is the Hart InterCivic system. Dominion does not have a 2.0 system, nor does ES&S. And what's interesting here is that ES&S Express Vote has the same similar QR code problems and that the Dominion system has. Neither one of them are, as near as we can tell, are even trying for 2.0 certification. So we don't know what's going to happen, but certainly this would be a part of 2.0, and they would have to comply with it. So it doesn't comply with 1.0 or 2.0 or 1.1.
And this is in reference to the president's executive order requiring VVSG 2.0, right?
Yeah, so he has rescinded all of the certifications. He has ordered the EAC to rescind all certifications and redo them because really, I mean, why are we here? I mean, why didn't the EAC do this 20 years ago? How did they allow an unverifiable QR-coded voting system ever to get on the market? If y'all remember, verifiability has been an issue for 20, 25 years, and yet, in spite of that, they allowed this to happen. And the problem is there's too much interaction between the EAC and the vendors versus the EAC and the voters. All right.
I just wanted to know if the EAC, is that federal or is that Georgia?
Federal independent.
Because if we don't get it out of Georgia, we'll never do nothing with it, you know?
Okay. Coming on up here.
Yes, do we know who the decision makers are in these organizations who keep not doing the right thing?
Referring to the EAC?
Yes.
You know, that's a good question. I don't know,
Rules
Kendra,
for
if you know-
Radicals by Saul Alinsky, and
Yeah.
this is what the leftists use.
Well-
They always identify
Well,
and frame the people who are making decisions. And we do not know who those people are, and they need to be exposed.
well, let's say the EAC. I think the question is who are the decision makers for the EAC?
Yes.
So that would have to be a board of commissioners would have to vote. We've asked the executive director. I think Dr. Begalski covered this, and you might want to restate that again, Kendra. We're asking for the executive director and the commissioners to take action. And I'll go and put that slide back up again. I think that answers the question.
So we do need to identify them
Well, yeah, we know who the commissioners are and the executive director.
and publicize it.
Yes, we just didn't do that for now. We certainly can. I think we have another question up front. Right there.
Hi. My question is, I intend to vote, but I do not trust the machine.
Mm-hmm.
Now, my question is, if I use the absentee ballot and take that ballot to the poll to have it registered, do you think that's safe?
If you take the ballot to the poll,
Yes. to have
So
it recorded,
if you
because I
had-
don't want to vote by using the machine, because I do not trust the machine.
Well, you can't take the ballot, that's a question really for Tamara. You can't take the ballot on election day because they will not accept it.
Election day, you can take the ballot to the election office in your county, but you can't take it to the precinct.
Yeah, or you can drop the ballot early voting in a drop box that is at the precinct or at the polling location.
Before, we know that it also been sabotaged and corrupt, so I do
Right.
not trust the mailbox either.
That's
so.
right. I would take it to the election office on election. I think Tamara's got the best.
You can
Okay.
also hand your ballot to a poll manager at an election, a voting place.
I'm
And they
doing-
will put it in a red envelope and take it to the elections office, at least in DeKalb.
Not in most counties.
Sorry?
Not in most counties.
DeKalb County allows people to hand in their absentee ballots to poll managers.
Yeah, y'all have got a good, special good things there. So, okay, Patty has one question, and then I think we'll go back to let Tamara close it out with a prayer for Tina.
Okay, this might be a naive question, but since all the evidence before has not been contested, and you're saying they've not done anything, what are the chances that what you're proposing now do you feel is going to work, that it's going to do something? By the
Well-
25th of November, which is not far away.
Well, I
Little
don't
over
know
3
the
weeks.
EAC, I guess first question is, will the EAC act by the 20th of November? We don't know. They're very slow. But
Never done anything before. They've never even acknowledged it. They don't contest it, but they don't acknowledge it, so they don't have to do anything. What's different about this?
they'll have to respond to the petition. Yeah, this is an official petition they will have to respond to. If they don't respond to it, then we would hope that the president would take some action to make sure that they are doing their job, since they are an executive branch agency, even though they were started from Congress. All right, well, we are, I'm going to just, I think we've only got about a minute left to get 2 minutes for the Lindell's TV to cut, so I want to close this in a prayer for Tina, and then we'll hang around for a couple more questions if y'all want.
We can't talk about issues with Dominion without remembering Tina Peters, the Mesa County, Colorado clerk, who is serving 9 years in prison, basically for exposing all of the problems in the 2020 election in her county. She is a 70-year-old Gold Star mom, a grandmother, and a lung cancer survivor who has no past criminal record. Normally, when you are sent to prison while your conviction is on appeal, it's because you are a murderer. This should not apply. This is almost unprecedented. There is a case right now in the federal magistrate court to overrule this Colorado to get her out on bond. We are waiting any day for that. So let's pray for her immediate release. Father God, we know that you are a good, good God, regardless of how circumstances sometimes look. And we know you hold Tina in your hand. So, Father, I'm asking today that you would give her extreme favor with the federal magistrate judge as he reviews all the evidence, all the briefs, that he would rule justly. And just like for Peter in the New Testament, those doors would open wide for her and she would have her freedom. We thank you, Lord. We know that you are working on her behalf, and we know you're working on American voters' behalf in all of these circumstances, and we trust you for it. In Jesus' name, amen.
Man, thank you, Kendra, for coming today. Thank you. I think if we have another couple of questions, we're happy to stick around, but we needed to cut that for the show, for Lindell TV. Go ahead. Wait, yeah, wait for the mic.
The EAC commissioner and the board, are they the same people now as they have been?
No.
Are they new for this administration? Because it's a congressional thing, right?
So, and Kendra maybe have to help me here. There's two appointees by the Republicans and 2 from the Democrats. And then, is there 4 or 5 members? Do y'all know? 4. I'm sorry. 4 members, 2 and 2. So a lot of things get deadlocked.
And the commissioner himself, is he appointed by
the current commissioner?
party?
The current commissioner is a Republican who was appointed by Donald Trump in his first term, Donald Palmer, and he's the current EAC commissioner. And he's been fairly receptive, but there is a lot of problems with his hands being tied by there's just so much red tape involved in there.
Just for a clarification, any election that's conducted on the machine that you described today that was certified in 2019, regardless of how the ballot is submitted, whether it's electronic, early voting, day of voting, absentee, regardless, they would be subjected to potentially being fraudulently calculated the way that in the courtroom they demonstrated its capability of being able to change the votes, correct?
Absolutely, because as Nathan points out, that hack was done at the results database, which includes the feeds from all those different sources that you mentioned. So thank you for pointing that out. And I think Kendra's point was so important as well, is that we've been on this system since, all the elections. I think you made a point. All the elections since 2019 have been conducted on this system.
And another point is that this is a bipartisan issue. These problems don't just affect Republican candidates, even though I'm representative of the DeKalb County Republican Party. This affects Democrats, Democrat voters. It affects their candidates. It affects every voting member of the public across our country if they're using systems like this. So that's why this is as important as what we think it is, and this is why we have submitted this petition, this emergency petition to the Elections Assistance Commission, and we really hope that they will provide the interim relief that we seek.
Awesome. I think, Joan, we got 2 more.
One quick one. Back to the structure of the EAC board. You've got 2 from each party, and then the chairman. Would that be the deciding vote?
Deciding vote. That's the problem. There's only 4 commissioners.
That's absurd. No sense.
Just a thought I had right now. This ends up being a civil rights issue for every voter in the country.
This is a very interesting point. I've learned a lot about voting rights in the last 10 or 20 years. So in order to have a federal voting rights case, you have to have a group of people who are discriminated against. If you have everyone who's a voter who's being discriminated against because the system has no security, that is not something that the federal government can take on as a voting rights issue. Now, I know that is absolutely absurd, but I investigated this 10 years ago, and that's what they told me. Sorry, you have to have a group that has been discriminated against. Yeah, and the group can't be everybody. So
I would make the argument that it's not everyone, because in the United States of America, there are groups that vote and groups that do not vote. So it is the group that is voting and our registered voters that are being discriminated against.
That would be a great argument, except for the fact that it was the voting rights section.
Oh.
So, yeah, so the scope of their authority was only to voters. But I would love to have used that otherwise. Yeah. Now, if we could just figure out one more thing, you're on the right direction. One more, I think you're close. We could probably figure that out somehow. Was there any more? Okay, I think we're done. Thanks, everybody, for coming today. This was great questions, national significance, and we'll be hanging around. And I'm just grateful to, so many of y'all have been involved for so long. You've been here with us, and because of you, the organization has grown, and it is what it is today. So thank you for coming out again today. Thanks, everybody. And we got to thank our crew in the back.